Well, let's talk about Syria now. Baroness Amos is in charge of Humanitarian Affairs at the UN. She's taken an active role in the international community's response to the Syria crisis. The world looks, I suppose, to you for hope. Why can't you deliver it?
For a whole variety of reasons, and it's something that I think about every day, because I think the world looks to the United Nations and expects the United Nations to solve problems.
Yeah.
But we also forget that the United Nations is made up of all the different countries of the world. So all the differences that those countries have, they bring to the United Nations table, and we see it being played out in Syria.
If you're trying to formulate a humanitarian response, though, it must be incredibly frustrating to find that the wheels of diplomacy grind so incredibly slowly. I mean, it was three years this has been going on.
Well, I think what's really frustrating for us on the humanitarian side is that, of course, we know that the wheels of the diplomacy trying to find a political solution can be slow. But on the humanitarian side, where you've got people dying every day, we've seen those terrible pictures coming out of Yarmouk and other parts of Syria. You've got millions of people displaced. It's almost as if people become numb by the numbers. Over 9 million people inside Syria needing help. It's the size of a small country in Europe. So the frustrating thing is that should not be political. That should not be politicized, helping people, getting aid in. There are rules that we have which should be applied when there is a conflict. You know, ordinary children, women, men shouldn't be used in a conflict like this to make sure that it's sustained and it goes on. And that's the thing that we find most frustrating, that we can't get to the people who need help, that it's over a year that over 2 million people have not had medical aid, food, things like that. It's an absolute scandal.
Are both sides using this humanitarian aid question to political ends, or can you apportion blame?
Well, yes, the different sides are, but I do think you have to look at the numbers. When I say that you've got 2.5 million people in what we call hard-to-reach places, we may have got to those places once, but there are about 240,000 people who are in places that we call besieged, i.e. we have not been able to get in with aid, they've not been able to get out. The majority of those people are in areas controlled by government. So it's very hard to say that there is an equivalence when you look at the numbers, but all of the different sides, the different opposition groups, as well as the government, use this tactic, sieging communities, as a kind of weapon of war.
How long could it go on?
Well, it's gone on for 3 years. We're no nearer finding a political solution. The numbers have just grown and grown and grown. I first went to Syria 2 years ago. I went to Homs. I saw the destruction in an area called Baba Amma. It's been repeated many, many times since. Then we were talking about 1 million people needing help. Now it's over 9 million. I suppose we can watch collectively the destruction of an entire country over many more years, unless we get more courage from the international community and unless we find a way of finding a political solution.
But both sides are just callous in this matter.
Oh, if you look at the human rights abuses that you're seeing spread across the country, absolutely.